The War is a seven-part documentary made by filmmakers Ken Burns and Lynn Novick, written by Jeffrey Ward, and narrated by Keith David. The War tells the story of World War II from the points of view of four American towns: Mobile, Alabama; Laverne, Minnesota; Sacramento, California; and Waterbury, Connecticut. The War tells the story of these four towns and the experiences of the members of those towns throughout the entire length of the war. It interviews not just the men who fought in the war, but their families who stayed at home. It interviews the people who joined the war economy working to build munitions and weapons for the war effort. It tells the story by interviewing the participants, reading letters by the participants, by interviewing family members of the participants, and attempts to give a three-dimensional picture of the war and its impact on the entire country by the snapshot of these four towns. Ken Burns is possibly the most important documentarian of American history. He may even be the most important documentarian in American history. On the upside, if you are an American, the war is a rather complete, almost exhaustive documentary of the years of World War II. It's fascinating, it's moving and engaging, and it tells a great story. There's a reason why there are so many World War II movies out there. It was a fascinating, if horrible, time, and this documentary captures it in all of its agony and glory. The emotion is not left out. Many of the family members of the people who served still get emotional when discussing family members who died 20, 30, sometimes 40 years ago, depending on when the interviews were conducted. It is a moving, engaging, and excellent documentary. And the downside, and it's the only downside, the downside to the war is that it is told entirely from the point of view of the United States of America. Other countries fought in this war. It might have been interesting if one of the towns Ken Burns had picked was in France. If one of the towns Ken Burns had picked was in England. If one of the towns Ken Burns had picked was in Germany or possibly Japan. But he doesn't. Ken Burns is a quintessentially American documentarian, and he's telling the story of America in his documentaries, and he really never deviates from that. So the downside is intentional. He's not trying to tell the story of the whole world in World War II. He's trying to tell the story of America in World War II, and in that he succeeds quite brilliantly. In conclusion, there's simply no way to rate this documentary anything lower than a full 5 stars. It is one of the greatest documentaries that I've ever seen, and of the other greatest documentaries I've ever seen, it's basically Baseball by Ken Burns and The Civil War by Ken Burns. I have to say I am quite a bit of a Ken Burns fan, but I still have to rate this a full 5 stars.